Okay, we're going to play a game.
Yep.
It's called A Load of Bull, presented by Ag American.
Okay.
Ask you a couple questions, just you tell me whatever comes to your mind. 2-time PBR world champion, 2013, 2015. Which one was better in your mind?
I think 15. The first one, I mean, that's what it's hard. You strive for something your whole entire life. That's to achieve, and then once you achieve it, it's kind of like what you do now. On 14, I was, I wasn't at the top of my game. I wasn't at the bottom, but I wasn't riding as good as I should have been riding. And I think it's because my whole life I'd have strived for one thing and I'd got it. And then it was kind of like, well, what do I do? Well, then when I didn't do as good in 14, the fire was lit back under me, and I come back in 15 and really went to going to work.
I could see that, and correct me if I'm wrong, as a bull rider, I mean, that's what you want to win, the world championship.
Yes, sir.
So then you win that 14, you're like, and now maybe people are thinking JB's done, looking a little old, looking a little slow.
I didn't want to be the one-hit wonder, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. 2018, you eclipse 500 rides. Not many people have done that, right?
No, there's three of us. Mike Lee, Galerme, me. I think Savannah might be. If he hadn't, he's close.
He's close.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, looking back, I mean, what do you think your most memorable ride was after eclipsing that?
Oh, heck, I don't know. I was riding like shit in 18 too. I couldn't. I had to change my whole riding style. 17, I tore my right arm off in Calgary at the Calgary Stampede.
What do you mean you tore your arm off?
Skin was the only thing holding it on.
Jeez.
Bull stepped on me, popped my shoulder out, and it went out the bottom side through my armpit and just ripped everything. Bicep tendon, labrum, all of it. Rotator cuff, everything was sheared off the bone. Broke the top of my humerus in 3 places. They had to take 3 pieces of the bone out. It just broke off. Took Tandy Freeman in Dallas 6.5 hours, put it back together, and put a screw and 13 anchors in it to put everything back where it was supposed to be.
Dude, you are, number one, a complete badass. But number two, like, when you're in that much pain, is it just one of those, like, dude, just hand me a cigarette and let's get this thing going? I mean,
oh yeah, there's plenty of times I got knocked out a couple of years ago in Kennewick, Washington. Bull stepped on my face, stepped right there and KO'd me pretty good, and they couldn't get me to wake up at first. And my wife had never walked in the arena. Her dad rode bulls and stuff. She's been around it her whole life. It ain't like she didn't know. And so, but I'd been out there for a little while, and they couldn't get me to wake up. And one of the pickup men, his wife was sitting there. She said, "I'll watch Jagger if you want to walk out there." She said, "Well, I never walked out there before." And she said, "But he has been out there a while." So I guess she walked out there. She told me the next day, she said, "I wish I wouldn't have walked out there." I said, "Why?" She said, "I thought you were dead." Because it tore my face. I had to sew. I had stitches inside and outside my mouth. I mean, he stepped right there. It broke all these back teeth out. I had inside and outside all stitches all up through here. And I guess the way I was laying flat on my back, all that blood was running down. She said I was gurgling, making funny sounds. And said they couldn't get me to wake up. And they pulled the meat wagon in the arena, going to take me to the hospital. And you know how when they pull the stretcher out, they snap the legs in? Well, they said as soon as they snapped the legs, my eyes rolled back around, and I looked over and I saw it, and they said, I don't remember it because I wasn't fully awake yet, but they said I looked over and see it, and I was like, And they said, "What?" I said, "I'm not going to the hospital." They said, I stood right up, walked out of the arena, and they had a sports medicine trailer there, and they took me in there, and a buddy of mine was like, "You need anything?" I said, "Yeah, bring me a cigarette." Well, they went and got my bag and got my cigarettes out and brought it to me. And the lady that runs the sports medicine trailer was in there. The other ones were like, "You can't smoke that in here." And she looked at him and said, "You shut up. He can do whatever he wants to right now." They let me smoke a cigarette in there. I got done, flicked it out the door, and they said, I told the doctor in there, "All right, let's get to work." Laid down. He went and sewed my face back up.
I don't even know, like... Wow.
I used to be real bad about it. Like PBRs, those guys, the sports medicine guys knew. Like if I walked in that sports medicine room, I was hurt bad, real bad. And because I would dodge them. Like I like those guys, and they're funny and they're cool to hang out with, like just go bullshit with them. But I avoided that sports medicine room like the plague. Like I did not want to be in there, and they would kind of get wrecked out or something. They'd come, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll be back. Let me go smoke a cigarette. I'll be back, and I'd come back in there.
Keyshawn, Zeke, I know y'all have been on the show, but I don't even know it. This is bull riding right here. Do you say? I mean, I'm calling you the old guy now because you are.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I am.
I mean, are there people? Has the game changed? Like when it comes, I mean, think about football, right? You have all the old heads that are like, they're not hitting like we used to hit. I mean, is it kind of?
It has. I mean, it's they're trying to make them more athletes than cowboys. You know, the old school cowboy way was you don't say nothing, you don't, no matter how bad you're hurting, you just get up and go.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of, slowing them down. Like if something's sore, you need to take care of it. Which I know both sides of the story. I went old school at it. Like I always thought, like I said, hell, I can put it out of my mind for 8 seconds. Like, but I understand both sides because I'm 37 years old, and most of the time I'm walking around like I'm 98. I need a hip replacement. My whole right side's shot. There's no ACL, MCL, or PCL in my right knee. That's just, and I deal with it. Like as long as I'm up moving around, I'm pretty all right. When I first get up in the morning, it's just a little rough. And so I can understand both sides of it.
For sure.
Taking care of things. But like I always said, this isn't a long career. So I wouldn't take the time to go have the surgeries. And, Tandy's the one that kind of made me that way. He didn't, not on purpose. He didn't know but when I blew my knee out, he said, surgery. I said, how long will I be out? He said, 6 months. I said, I can't sit out 6 months. I was sitting second in the world. I said, I can't sit out 6 months. He said, well, I was going to tell you if you can deal with the pain, don't have the surgery. I said, why? He said, we go back in, we reattach it. You tear it again, it's a heck of a lot harder to fix the second time than it is the first time. He said, once you tear something completely, you can't tear it twice. So from then on, that was the worst thing he could have ever told me. Like I did not, like both knees are jacked. I don't have a right growing on this side. It's in 2 different pieces. And if it was muscle wise, if it was tore completely, I never messed with it. I just kept going.
Yeah. Less cowboy, more athlete. That makes sense. I mean, you're one of the at some point, I don't know what part of your career, and I'm trying to figure out the other week about percentage of who's wearing a mask and who's wearing a cowboy hat. I mean, you were straight cowboy hat for mostly your.
Pretty much. My parents made me wear one when I started getting on like junior bulls.
Yeah.
And so I wore it till I was already in the PBR when I quit wearing it. And I'd wore it for a long time. I always told them when I turned 18 I was going to throw it away. But it more or less become habit that I wore it. It was just
now, is that an ego thing? You don't want anybody, you don't want the girls in the stands saying,
No,
this is wearing a mask, I'm wearing
Yeah, that didn't have anything to do with me. It was just, and when I was wearing one, not a lot of guys wore one. There wasn't very many of them that did wear a helmet. And so I was kind of like the black sheep over there, had a helmet on and stuff. And it was more or less just habit. Like you grab your vest out of your rigging bag. I grabbed the helmet because I was so used to wearing it. Well, I was riding pretty bad one year and we were getting on practice bulls. And for some reason, I didn't grab it. Like it was just kind of like, I didn't know I did it. I just grabbed my shit and went and got on. And hell, I rode one. And I mean, he bucked pretty hard and I rode him just dead easy and stepped off. And I said, man, that felt pretty good. I didn't even realize I didn't even have it on. I was like, man, that felt good. Somebody said, man, you look good. I said, man, it felt good. They said, you going to quit wearing it? I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, your helmet. I was like, I look up, I have my hat on. I was like, I never put it back on.